Most men over 65 wash everything, except this. And yes, people can smell it. Not because you're careless, not because you've let yourself go, but because no one ever told you this one truth. And after a certain age, it matters more than ever. If you're over 70, dignity isn't about trying harder. It's about avoiding silent mistakes that cost respect without warning. And this one? It's invisible, but unforgettable. The men who miss this spot are often the most disciplined. Daily showers, clean clothes, good posture, yet something still feels off. Or conversations end a little faster than they used to. That's not imagination. Stay with me. Because once you understand this, the rest becomes simple. At this point, it's important to pause for a moment. It's about control. Because the man who controls small details controls how he's perceived. And perception, after 60, becomes reality. It's not sweat, it's neglect in a place most men never think to check. We'll start with what almost every senior misses. Then we'll talk about how to correct it without turning your routine upside down. And at the end, I'll show you how this single adjustment quietly restores confidence without anyone knowing why. Now, let's go there. The area almost everyone skips isn't obvious. It's not dramatic. It doesn't scream for attention. That's the problem. It's the space where skin folds meet air, but not enough air. Where moisture lingers longer than it should. Where soap passes over, but never through. And once bacteria settle there, they don't rush, they wait. Quick question. When was the last time you deliberately cleaned behind and around areas that no longer stretch the way they used to? Exactly. This becomes even more important with age because skin changes quietly. Less elasticity, slower drying. Different chemistry, same habits, different outcome. And here's the part no one warns you about. The smell doesn't show up immediately. It shows up later, when you're already dressed, already out, already social. That's why men are blindsided by it. At this stage, most men assume the problem is cologne, or laundry, or diet. It's none of those. And once this is clear, the rest makes sense. Now, small reset. You don't need new products. You don't need medical soap. And you certainly don't need to scrub aggressively. Aggression creates irritation. Irritation creates more odor. What works is precision. This is where most advice gets it wrong. Instead of wash everything, the goal becomes wash intentionally. Slow down for 5 seconds in the areas that don't dry silly. Use your hand, not just run off soap. Rinse longer than feels necessary. That's it. Simple question. Have you ever rushed the end of a shower because everything important was already clean? That's where the mistake lives. By this stage, something interesting happens. Men who correct this don't just smell better. They move differently. Because confidence isn't loud. It's physical ease. And people respond to ease. This is why the next point matters. Odor doesn't damage reputation loudly. It erodes it quietly. No confrontation. No explanation. Just subtle distance. Once men realize that, they stop chasing youth and start refining presence. Mid-video reset. Stay with me. We're not fixing a body. We're protecting status. And status after 65 isn't built on effort. It's built on avoidance of mistakes others still make. Now here's a curious truth. The men most affected by this are often the most proud. They assume cleanliness is already handled. They trust old routines. But bodies don't reward loyalty to outdated habits. They reward adaptation. Once this clicks, the shift is immediate. You don't think, "Am I okay?" You know you are. And that certainty changes posture, voice, timing. This becomes even more important socially, because people forgive aging. They don't forgive discomfort. Now, let's bring this home. By the time a man reaches this age, he's earned the right to be respected. But respect still responds to signals. Cleanliness is one of the quietest signals and the fastest to decay if ignored. This isn't about obsessing. It's about choosing one small correction that pays daily dividends. And once a man chooses with intention, the world responds quietly. Last thought, if this perspective feels familiar, if you value calm confidence over noise, if dignity matters more than attention, you're in the right place. This isn't about trying harder. It's about choosing better. And when a man does that, nothing has to be said, because presence speaks first.